Let's apply a gradient to a stroke. So I have converted all of my text here to outlines. If I click on Ridgewater, you can see that I have the bounding box with a bunch of my anchor points around my text. So this shows me that this is no longer editable text, it's now objects. Same up here. In this case, I have ungrouped my letters, so now they are individual objects. So I can apply a gradient to the stroke of these objects. It needs to be an object. If I scroll down here, I wanted to share with you, I do have just text. This is regular text. And you can see that at this point, I had it's a fill of black. There's not a stroke on there. I can put a stroke on that text. If you can see that there is a stroke there. However, if I try to put a gradient on the fill, it doesn't work. And if I try to bring forward the stroke and put a gradient on the stroke, doesn't work. So it doesn't let me do that. It actually thickens the stroke when it tries to put it on at that point. So you have to convert your text to outlines first to allow the ability to stroke. So with the gradient. So up here I did that. I'm going to select my Ridgewater because it is grouped. And if I choose a gradient on the stroke, make sure the stroke is on top. And I'll deselect. You can see that a little bit different effect happened because it's applying to each individual object. Let's take a look here. I'll select my D. My stroke is on top, so I'll apply that stroke. And you can see how it applied it kind of in a linear fashion. So there are different ways or different methods that you would apply a gradient to the stroke. I am going to also increase my stroke weight. Right now it's at 1 point. Let's increase it to something a little bit larger so that you can see. Let's go up to 8. Okay, so this gradient was applied in the first option available. Look over at my gradient panel. Apply a gradient within stroke. So that moves the gradient from left to right across the object. If I were to apply it along gradient, so that would be applying the gradient along the stroke, it'll move the gradient clockwise around the object. Okay, and because I have basically an inside and an outside outline or stroke, it did it to both of those. It kind of just repeated that. And then the last is across. So this one applies the gradient, sort of radiates from the outside to the inside. So my start would be here and it went to the inside. Okay, so different ways that you can apply it. You get different effects. Let's go ahead and just share those different effects here. I'm going to select increase my stroke to 8 on all of these so that it's consistent. Okay, so now I have an 8-point stroke on all of them. You can see actually this is a good example of some weird things that will start happening when your stroke is too big to fit your object. All right, so the first one, I'm going to make sure the stroke is on top, apply. This one is going to be the first option, which is within the stroke. The second one, I'm going to apply a gradient on the stroke, but with the second option of along the stroke. And then the last one you can see has the option of across the stroke. So you can see the different effects that will happen with those. This one left to right, this one kind of going around, and this one sort of radiating out. All right, so that's how you would apply a gradient to a stroke.